Hey everybody, it's CJ here from Urban Defense Solutions, and I kind of want to get into this incident that just happened out in Texas where a teenager left home alone. Teenager left home alone, was forced to defend his home from a home invader. All right, guys, let's get into it.
Well, a man whom investigators believe was trying to get inside homes in an East Harris County neighborhood is dead tonight, shot and killed by a teenager who was home during a break-in. That shooting has shaken the neighbors in one section of the Cloverleaf community.
The man had been roaming around his neighborhood for at least 15-20 minutes before he went into the home right behind me, to the front door rather. He tried to get in. He never got that far when he was shot.
Watch as this man, wearing a heavy coat, backpack, and gloves, roam around the drainage ditches. It was just before 7 in the morning, and Araceli Herrera immediately thought something was wrong.
With the weird behavior in this man that I've never seen before, I figured I need to call, my neighbor, let her know there's a man going into her property.
Herrera's neighbor had just left to take her children to school, but a teenage boy, 14, was at home. Moments later, Herrera watched as the man with the backpack made his way to his neighbor's house and tried to get in the front door.
The guy was at his porch, and the kid opened up the door and shot the guy.
4 times total?
That's what I heard.
Sheriff Ed Gonzalez confirms what happened.
The male spotted an unknown male that was outside the doorway at some point, and he began to fire multiple shots, several shots, at least 5 or 6 shots, striking the male, and the male was pronounced deceased.
All right, so it just went down. Let's get into this conversation. If you have kids at home and you have a firearm at home, do you isolate or do you educate? In my house, I've raised 2 boys. They're now 20, 23, and 18, and they've been around firearms their whole life. I made sure that my kids had an understanding of how these firearms work at a very young age. And again, I hope that my kids will never have to deal with a situation like that, but I'd rather come home knowing that my son defended his home and made sure that his brother and everybody in the house was safe than me coming home and hearing that a assailant came into my house, there was a firearm in the house, and no one knew how to use it. And unfortunately, I lost my family. Not an option for me, so I made sure that both my sons were very knowledgeable about how a firearm works. At a young age, I wanted them to experience the recoil so they can understand that the difference between a toy and a real one just off of seeing it or putting it in their hand and experiencing the weight of that firearm. So again, kudos to this young man who basically had no choice but to defend himself, and he did so in a fashion that unfortunately took another man's life. So again, with that being said, I hope that they get him some type of psychological help behind that, because again, it's not an easy thing for somebody to take a life. But in this situation, it was justified, and I'm all with agreements of it. At the end of the day, you have to be your own first responder. Again, police are not there all the time. They're highly needed in a community to make sure that things are being deterred. It's like the club to me. The police are like the club to me. It's a deterrent, but again, they're not going to always be there when you need help. So with that being said, you have to be your own first responder. Again, if you're going to have a firearm in the house, make sure everybody in the house has the knowledge of how that firearm works. If the primary person is not there that owns that firearm. That's the solution. Urban Defense Solutions.